Hello and welcome to another tune which, as many of you will know, I've done a few different versions of in Gran Turismo 7, and for those who are completely new to this idea and have no idea what I'm talking about, this is basically the best overall money-making method within GT7, now that of course the Tomahawk method doesn't work, and that is of course racing at Le Mans. Now we'll get to the race in just a second after I've built the car, for those who have no idea what I'm talking about. Those of you who do, of course, just stick around mostly for the first part. Now you might be thinking, why on earth am I using a Mercedes A-Class? We've already done stuff like Camaros, the Mitsubishi GTO, which is an absolute beast, a couple of others too. Why this? Why a hot hatch? Well, actually, because this one may well be my favourite one of them all. I've had this one built for a while, but just hadn't got around to doing a video for it. And just look at the numbers. 1150 kilos. That's lighter than most. 535 horsepower. That's also higher than most others at the 700 point level. Crucially, four-wheel drive. That alone is a massive advantage, meaning that even with rain, you don't even need to swap out your tyres if you don't want to. Now, of course, when it comes to performance, we'll have to see what it can do in a second, but as far as the particular build, as I always like to do with these, I like to give a bit of a Secret Santa shout out to a player, usually a random player, who made a nice visual setup for the car. On this occasion, this is the player who made this visual pack. You do need to fit the wide body kit to the Mercedes. Obviously the rest of it, you can just fit his livery and it fits the bodywork as well. And then of course you can change around a couple of things if you want to, like the wheels or the wing, but this is basically what yours will look like if you download that player's livery, or you can look up the hashtag WIX or WIX to find it and then just look for that PSN tag. Now with those visuals fitted, the next thing of course is to go to the actual tuning shop. So if we jump over there now, and we're going to work as we always do from the right end all the way down from extreme. So as I said, you can buy heavyweight tyres if you want to. You could argue it's not really necessary though, so you don't have to do that. For the racing parts, we've got basically everything fitted. So balance tuning, polished ports, anti-lag, racing exhaust, racing filter, intercooler, pads, manifold, of course the racing discs. You definitely want that torque vectoring center diff. That is a huge part of this tune. The clutch and flywheel, the fully customized suspension, of course the transmission as well, and I would recommend racing hards because of course they do last a bit longer. As far as the semi-racing stuff, you want your crank, computer, high RPM turbo, fully customizable diff, and the stage 3 weight reduction. Of course you have to do level 1 and level 2 first, but as you can see we've gone all the way up to level 3. You want to bore out the engine, the high lift cams. The power restrictor is not really needed for this, but I would recommend having it in case you want to use the car for a lower point level, say online in a lobby or something. Of course, level 2 weight, and the ballast as well. There is no ballast fitted as such, but again, it's the option there if you need it for some other event. And then as far as this one, of course, stage 1 weight, and it comes with sports hards as standard. So as far as the tyres go, just fit whatever you feel like you need. But then after we've fitted all of those, a couple of which, as you saw, were optional, and you could technically buy NOS as well if you want to, but you cannot use NOS in this event, so I haven't bothered to do so. But jump into your settings, fit your hard tyres, of course. As far as the suspension, we've dropped the ride height to just 5mm higher than the lowest. Then the anti-roll is on 4, so nothing crazy there. For the compression on the dampers, we've raised those to 38, with 42 on the expansion, 2.05 for the front frequency and 2.2 on the back. No camber at all on this one, and of course the four-wheel drive goes a long way for the handling and control. No toe on the back, 10 degrees toe out on the front. As far as the diff, I've gone for 20 on initial torque, as you can see, with 5 all-round for acceleration and braking. Crucially, and this one is definitely one that I'd recommend having this on, Audi TT Quattro style 50-50 torque split. So front and rear, giving you basically, in other words, like an equal amount of grip. That's how it feels in practice, at least. As far as the transmission, I haven't bothered adjusting the individual gears, but I've gone for the auto setting of 300 kilometers an hour, which is roughly, I think, 186 miles an hour, something like that. But the car can definitely go quicker than that, that's for sure. As far as the power, of course, the restrictor is not touched, because you don't need to. Likewise with the ECU, I would recommend having the downforce set as low as it can go, because on this particular build, the visuals are just for fun. The rear wing isn't really doing that much, it's just for the visual package. Of course you want to have your anti-lag system turned on, I've got it set on strong, and all of the other parts are of course already fitted, as you can see. So with that all in mind, you should be sitting as I am at 699.5 or thereabouts points, and this could well change in future. For example, the Mitsubishi tune that I did is now just over 700 points, so you'll need to change that just a little bit here and there, and that will probably continue to happen, so don't be surprised if after some future update the points might change a little bit. But you've got so much power, you could just remove a part or restrict it a little bit. It's nothing crazy. Go into Europe, of course, you will need to have unlocked Le Mans, aka the 24 Heures du Mans, or Circuit de la Sarthe, depending on what you want to call it. Go to the World Touring Car 700, of course, and then the car is already eligible. Now, this race is basically guaranteed to have a clean bonus, even if you cut corners, smash into other cars. As long as you don't get an actual, yellow flag penalty, then you'll be fine. So 9 times out of 10, that'll never even be an issue in the first place. So go into the event. Of course, we'll jump into the event now, and I'll show you what the car is like in practice. But what you need to know about actually using this Mercedes is that it does use a lot of fuel. So, the reason why I chose to still use it is simply put, this car is so overwhelmingly fast, and of course has so much grip, especially with both four-wheel drive and a 50-50 torque split, that it is just an absolute monster. In fact, it feels more like a rally car, almost like a Pikes Peak car, than it does a road racer. Put simply, even if you're less experienced, this thing wipes the floor with the competition. Now, the one absolutely essential thing that you need to do, you can probably guess, is scroll through your on-screen settings with the left and right, on the small directional buttons on the controller, until you get to the fuel bar, which of course is a yellow bar, goes from 1 to 6, and set that all the way up to 6, which is the leanest possible fuel, which means it will last the longest. The car won't be quite as quick, but it's still quicker than everything else on the grid, and with that setting you can get technically a little bit over 2 laps between pit stops, which doesn't sound like a good idea. I mean, surely you'd want to just get like a Red Bull Junior and do the whole race without pitting in, but the reason why we do all these different tunes is to keep it interesting, so that you can then choose to give yourself more of a challenge or try a different car. So with that in mind, the reason why, even pitting in every 2 laps, this is still my favourite car to use, is because the race length doesn't change. It's always half an hour, so it's not like it's taking you any longer. So as long as the car is so much further ahead than everything else, which it is, even pitting in every 2 laps literally makes no difference, because you never really need to pit in for the rain tyres, your pace won't slow down that much in the rain even if it does tip it down, and the performance is just so overwhelmingly fast that nothing can catch you, even if you drive sloppy. And of course, if you put the fuel down to 1, this is one of the fewer vehicles that you can tune up to 700 points that can easily get up around 200 miles an hour, even without NOS. So it is a properly quick little car. I love using it because I'm a fan of the A45 AMG anyway. I think it's a very undervalued car in this game and in the previous game, and it's interesting, It's one of those cars that you wouldn't expect to be as monstrous in this category as it is, but it ticks every box. It's light, powerful, fast, grippy, and just weird, which I love. So if you want to give it a try, of course, follow these steps, and of course show the creator of the livery some love as well. And if you want to check out more of these and you're new to the channel, then by all means do so, because there are a few of these for the aforementioned Camaro, the Mitsubishi, a couple of others too, so be sure to check those out, and until next time, I'll see you then with more. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.